Okay, in this video, we're going to put the Cummins in the truck. So the last couple days, I got the transmission cross member out. I got one motor mount out. I got almost another motor mount out, but these two bolts were fighting me. So I decided to just hold off until it's inside so we can zip those off, get this out of the way, and then we can pick this guy up, put it in the hole.
My grease is on.
So it's kind of wedged in there. The oil pan isn't fitting through here, which I kind of knew about already. I looked at a truck, a two-wheel drive that had a 12 valve in it, and he had to trim his oil pan down. But I kind of wanted to just put it in there and try it first to see if maybe, there was a way that I looked at it that he wasn't looking at it, that it would work. But I don't think it's going to work. We're going to have to section the oil pan. So we'll start by draining the oil out. The oil pan off and the pickup off, we're going to try for round 2. Okay, it's kind of sitting about where it's supposed to sit, I think. We had to trim the exhaust. It was hitting the floor, so we cut it off, and we had to eliminate the factory motor mounts because they were running into here before we could get it low enough and far enough back. I'd still like to try and get it a little bit lower. It's just sitting on the firewall right there, but we still have tons of room in here. So what we're going to do now is take the steering linkage off, clean the oil pan, and see if we can sneak the oil pan in from the backside, and then we can kind of use that to see if we can go any lower, because the further down we can go, the further back we can go.
So I've noticed the last while I've been driving this truck, it's kind of started wandering a lot while going down the road. I think that's why. That thing is wore out. Wow, Jim did such a nice job cleaning this oil pan. It looks brand new. Okay, we can go down like 4 inches at least, maybe even 5 inches. So let's drop it down.
All right, it's sitting, I think, about where it should be sitting now. We dropped it down a couple inches. I got a 2x3 piece of tubing, and this is 3/4 of an inch thick, so that would put us 3 3/4 of an inch off the cross member. We can go down a little bit, or sorry, I guess we can't go down too much further because of this cross member that you probably can't see because I forgot to bring a light with me under here. Maybe from this angle. Anyways, there's a cross member that goes there, and we can't really go too much lower without taking that out. But I think we're pretty good. I think we're in the ballpark. What I'm going to do right now is quickly mock up the rad support to make sure that we're far enough back. And if the rad support looks like it's going to work out, then we'll start setting our angle to match the pinion and building some mounts. The rad support is sitting where it needs to sit. I've got one inner fender on just to kind of get the angle, and it's tighter than I would like up here. I think I want it to go further back still. We've got room at the back. The transmission is starting to get tight. That cross member that connects the radius rods. It's like a cross member, I guess. You might have to get modified a bit so that the transmission can sit a little bit lower, and that'll allow the engine to go back a little bit further. We have the room back here, like there's still 2 inches at least before that rocker cover hits the firewall. And if I can get it to go down a little bit more, I mean, it'll go several inches further back. So I think I want to do that. I think I want to go further back. This is why you always mock stuff up before you build your motor mounts. I was looking at it and I was like, oh yeah, we're right where we need to be. In fact, I even got the transmission cross member out because I was going to start putting it in. But you always mock stuff up first because it's way easier to fix it now than later. I'm having issues getting it to go further back because of this cross member. It won't. See, we're hitting right up against there, and we need to come back a couple more inches. This guy I've been talking to here in town who has already done this swap, he left this cross member in. He didn't have an issue, but I don't know why he got it in and I can't get it in. The only thing I can think of is this looks like it might have been bent up at one point. The other thing is this is a 47 RH transmission and he has a 518 transmission, which I always thought were basically the same thing, but maybe this one's a little bit bigger. Regardless, even if I could get it to squeeze through there, I don't like the idea that with this cross member in there, I cannot get the transmission out without pulling the engine out. That's a huge job, especially with the reputation that these Dodge transmissions have behind a Cummins. So I'm going to cut this cross member out. I've made some lines here where I'm going to cut, and I'll make a new one. I left enough room here so that I can drill holes and bolt a new cross member to the bottom of this one. That way, when this transmission blows up, not if it blows up, but when it blows up, it's not a huge deal to get it out. I like that. I always like to make stuff so that it's easy to work on. So let's cut this out. Oh yeah, look at that. Get that thing out of there. The world is now our oyster. We can go up, down, forward, back, wherever we want.
Just stopping for lunch, and Jack showed up with his new to him 40 Ford. What a great little car. Jack had a 39 for a couple years, and it got rear-ended and written off, so this is his replacement. He's also got a 49 shoebox for sale. It's on Used Victoria right now. Go check it out.
The motor moved back quite a bit, so now I'm going to mock up the rad support again, but I want to cut this little piece out here so that the Dodge radiator can sit nice and flat in there. All right, let's see if it fits. We gotta go your way a little bit.
My fender here. Oh. Oh my goodness, eh? So close.
Okay,
There.
that's not bad, I think. It's pretty close this way though. I'd like to go back a little bit more if we could.
Doesn't quite drop through, so we're gonna notch this little bit here. And we're gonna notch this little bit out here. And we're gonna notch these areas out.
Okay, we got some clearance in there now. The rad fits, the fan spins. It's still a little bit tight. I'd like enough room to comfortably be able to change that belt on the side of the road if I had to. So I think if we take a measurement of where the engine is in relation to the firewall, and if we can go further back, bonus, as long as we don't come any further forward than where we're at now, it should work out okay. So I think at this point now we can take it front sheet metal off again and start figuring out motor mounts. We got it to slide back another half, almost 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to call that good. That's about as far back as it can get. The sender for the temperature sender at the back of the cylinder head is like this, close to the firewall. So we're going to call that good. And I'm moved on to motor mounts. I'm going to start with the transmission mount. This is the stock Dodge transmission mount. It bolted to the bottom of the transmission like that. then this guy bolted to the bottom like that. So I had this all sitting in there and mocked the cross member up. It's going to sit like 2 inches below the frame, which I don't really want. This truck's very low as it is, so that's definitely going to hit the ground and bottom out. But what I'm going to do is cut all this stuff off and cut a little notch in there that this will drop down into, so that this part here sits flush on there. And then I'll weld it real quick so the rubber doesn't catch on fire. And that should bring the transmission cross member up 2 inches or so. And hopefully we have enough ground clearance.
So I was just underneath here, fitting this piece up again, and a guy named Terry walks through the door. Terry sold my friend James a 34 Ford a few years back, but Terry saw the last video with the little dowel pin plate and decided to come by and grab a dowel pin plate and a t-shirt, which was super cool. Thank you very much, Terry. I appreciate that. He's building a 35 Ford, I think a 1 ton or 1.5 ton dually, and he's putting a 4BT Cummins in it. So that'll be super cool. Anyways, this guy is, I tacked it up, it's bolted up in there. Here's our cross member, just about fits, it's so close. So what I'm gonna try is I'm gonna drill the holes in the cross member so that this will drop through. And this will, there's a hole on the other side here in the sludge. That'll bolt in there, and I'm hoping that this will compress enough. I mean, we got lots of room to go up, so if it goes up, it's not a huge deal. I think it'll be okay. Yeah, that's the next step though. I'm gonna drill these holes. Maybe I'll clean some of this sludge out. This is all from, I had a power steering leak. Since the day I bought this truck, it had a power steering leak. And I just kept ignoring it and ignoring it and ignoring it. Finally, like, a month and a half ago, I finally fixed it, and it was like, yeah, no more leaks. And then we pulled it out, so. But in the meantime, there's been a whole lot of power steering leakage, and it's gross. All right, that's in there. That worked really well. I got the 2 studs coming through down there. And what I did before I put this cross member in is I marked the center line of the bolt hole so that I can come in now and drill a hole through there, and I'll know where the hole on the other side is gonna be. Okay, I put a 1/2 inch bolt through there. I always put my bolts from the top going down with the nut on the bottom. And the reason being is that way if I ever, I forgot to grab lock washers. But yeah, if the nut ever comes off because you forgot to grab lock washers,
That way at least the bolt still stays in the hole. Huzzah! Take two with the lock washer. Huzzah!
Transmission crossmember is done. It's still hanging down a little bit below the frame. It's probably still gonna bottom out every now and then. But you know what? If you're gonna drive around in a slam dually and the transmission crossmember doesn't bottom out every now and then why even have a slam dually?
Well, that took all day. Okay, the transmission crossmember is done. Transmission's mounted. I've repositioned the strap to just the front of the engine and picked it up till our little angle finder is happy. That angle matches the pinion angle on the rear end. The pinion angle, everybody gets all freaked out about this. Oh, it's gotta be 3 degrees, 3 degrees. 3 degrees doesn't matter. That doesn't matter at all. All that matters is whatever angle your rear end is at, your engine and transmission has to be on the same angle. That could be 3 degrees, that could be 6 degrees, 9 degrees, 0 degrees, doesn't matter as long as they're the same. The 3 degrees thing, I don't even know where that came from. Because I mean, yeah, it's on a perfectly level ground. You can set your engine at 3 degrees. But what happens when you go down a hill? You're not at 3 degrees anymore. Just make sure it matches the rear end. That way when your U-joints are, or your drive shaft is in line on the same plane, your U-joints work together. Yeah, so, sorry for the ramble. Okay, the bubble is where it needs to be. So the next step now is to build the side mounts for the engine. But for that, I need the little rubber, I ordered first gen, like 93 and older Dodge Cummins motor mounts because they're a little easier to work with. But they won't be here until 10 o'clock tomorrow, according to Rick at the parts store at Bumperland. So yeah, I guess we're kind of stuck at that. I guess I'll have to spend the rest of the Friday night being social with my friends. Cool. Gonna go get some food and hang out. We'll come back to this tomorrow. It's Saturday morning, and I just got back from the parts store to get the first gen Dodge motor mounts that I wanted, and unfortunately, the delivery truck never showed up. I waited around for like an hour for these motor mounts to come in, and I don't know, never came in, so we're going to plan B. Yesterday, I got an order of flathead motor mounts that I use for my AV8 mounts all the time, so we'll just use those. I'm sure they'll be fine. So, going on the plan B now. All right, so I just cut out these plates that you saw me cut, and the idea was I was going to put the flathead puck about there and make a little ear and then a little mount on here. But I got a phone call from Rick at Bumperland, and the motor mounts came in. So Doug just went and picked them up for me and brought them back, which is great. They fit in there considerably nicer than the flathead mount, and I wanted to stick with the Dodge one just because I know it'll handle the vibration from the Cummins. So I'm gonna go for lunch, and then when I come back, I'm gonna cut this piece of 2x4 1/4-inch tubing apart to make little ears, I guess, little tabs for the motor mount to sit on. So we'll get some food, and then we'll do that. So the piece that I made should fit like that and then fit like that. But I screwed up and made it a bit too wide, so I can't get the bolts in. So I went back to the drawing board, literally, and came up with this guy, which will then get welded on there, and then I'll make some gussets for it. Well, it's mocked up in there. I just got it tacked, but it's a little bit close to the block this way, a little bit closer than I kind of wanted. So I'm just having one of those days where I'm just off a little bit. So third time's the charm. I made a new one that's 1.5 inches longer, which will hopefully push this lower stud further this way to give us more room in there. That's 1.5 inches longer, and I moved it up another 3/4 of an inch or so, and that's a lot happier. I like that. We got lots of room to get in here now. So the next step is going to be, I got to build a plate that welds on here, comes across, and then down for the bottom of the motor mount to attach to. And I'm going to put some gussets. I'll do a little gusset from here down to there on each side, and then a gusset from here up to here to triangulate all that. And hopefully that'll work. Passenger side is done, all welded up, bolted in. Obviously the frame one is just tacked. I'll have to pull the engine back out to properly weld it. You got a gusset in here. This upper mount has a nice big gusset there and there. Plus on the inside, a gusset from there to there on both sides. It's all 1/4 inch plate, so I'm pretty confident it should hold up okay. Now onto the driver's side. So here's the saddest story ever. I don't have enough material to finish the driver's side. I just went over and I got a big 1/4 inch plate here that I've been cutting everything out of. And this is the only area left. And I just did a dry run, and it's not big enough to make the last piece. Not even the last piece. I got to make like 4 or 5 more pieces for the other side, so I can't make it out of this. I've got some 3/16 here, but I don't want to make it out of 3/16, especially on the driver's side. That's the torque side. That's the side that really matters. I mean, this side, you could have a 2x4 in there and it would be fine. This is the important side. So I definitely don't want to make it out of 3/16. So I guess this kind of is going to get put on hold until Monday. It's Saturday night. Saturday evening. I've been working on this thing all day. But we'll have to wait till Monday, I guess, because that's what happens when you work on the weekend. I guess we'll wrap up the other side in the next video. I mean, you kind of got the gist of it. It's literally just the mirror image of that side on this side. And then we should be able to set it down and it's good. Another issue we got to take care of is the air compressor is gonna hit the frame here. So that'll be, I think, the next hurdle to cross. But yeah, it's going okay. Man, what a project. There's a lot of hours in this. I sent a picture to my mom the other day. I had it just sitting in there, hanging off the thing. She's all like, "Oh, cool. Did you get it running yet?" I'm just like, "Oh my God, no." There's like probably 200 hours before this thing drives. So, anyways, thank you for watching. Make sure you check out the website lgspeedcustom.com, where you can get shirts like this. Every shirt you buy gets me that much closer to 1/4-inch steel plate to finish this project. Also on there, we got the killer dowel pin plates and lots of hot rod parts. I mean, as I'm sure you guys know, building hot rods is my main thing. I'm not really a diesel truck guy. This is just our shop truck. So yeah, we got hot rod parts on there as well as t-shirts. Go check that out. Thanks to the Cavalieros for once again providing us with fantastic music. Check out thecavaleros.com. Also, I actually just found out the Cavalieros have a YouTube channel as well, so check that out, the Cavalieros. What else? Thanks to Jim for the help. Thanks to Doug for the help, and especially thanks to Shannon for the help and the patience. It's Saturday night and we're not hanging out with our friends or anything. I'm in the shop by myself doing this, so I really appreciate that. And yeah, thanks for watching. Make sure, Jim told me this is a Jim line, make sure to smash the subscribe button and hit like, notifications, all that stuff. Comment, tell me how cool this is or how much you hate it. Either way, I don't care. I'm going to do whatever I want anyways. Yeah, thanks for watching. Really appreciate it, and we'll catch you on next video, which will probably be in a couple days when I get 1/4-inch plate.